Every story has two sides. Most people never hear the second one. That's where we come in. The first side always sounds convincing until the second side walks through the door. My team of special investigators and I don't take anyone's word for it. We go looking, we dig, we find the version of events that never made it to your timeline. Your job? Sit on the jury. Drop your verdict in the comments. Because every case we bring you deserves a ruling from the people. I'm the Honorable Vale. This is the docket, and court is now in session. Case number 1002. A dermatologist, a divorce, a fiancé, an investment account that grew by $305,000 in 18 months, and a decision, 6 weeks before a wedding, to go back to the mother of his children. Our first voice is a 43-year-old physician, a father of 2 daughters, a man who watched his ex-wife hit rock bottom and then watched her climb all the way back up. He made a choice. His former fiancée says that choice came with a financial consequence he has refused to honor. He says the consequence she is asking for is not justice. It is a penalty. The first voice speaks first, then the second voice, then the jury rules. That is you. Court is in session.
I want to start by saying something clearly. I did not remove my stepson from my estate. I removed my ex-fiance's son from a beneficiary designation that was created because I believed we were becoming a family. The wedding never happened. My original family was restored, and I still believe, that my obligation is to my children. That account was not payment for services. It was part of a future that never came. Let me tell you how we got here. Laura and I were together for 15 years. We were what people called a power couple. I ran my own dermatology practice. She was a lawyer on track to make partner. We had 2 daughters, back to back, less than a year apart. Having both babies so close together took a toll on Laura that I did not fully understand at the time. She struggled with postpartum depression after both pregnancies, but she pushed through it. She went back to work in October of 2019 because she was not going to let anything take her partnership track from her. Then COVID hit. Her firm let her go. Overnight, she went from a high-powered career to being home alone with 2 babies under 2, no nanny, no cook, no structure, and a husband who was working 14-hour days and not paying close enough attention. That last part is on me. I want to own that. The depression deepened. She turned to drinking, then something stronger. I did not see it building the way it was building. I did not see it clearly until both of my daughters were in the car during a minor accident, and the hospital found high levels of alcohol, marijuana, and other substances in her system. We divorced in 2022. I believed at the time it was the only way to protect my girls. I met Andrea in December of 2022. We began dating properly in April of 2023. She was extraordinary, smart, grounded, warm, and genuinely good with my daughters. When I proposed in January of 2024, I believed completely that we were building a future together. When Andrea offered to take over my finances, I was grateful. My previous financial advisor had managed my retirement account for nearly 10 years and grown it to $1.2 million. Andrea showed me what she could do with a separate account, a new account completely distinct from my retirement fund, and the returns she projected were significantly better. She declined my offer to pay her the same rate as my advisor. She proposed something different. She would manage the new account if I agreed to name her son as an equal beneficiary alongside my daughters. A three-way split, I agreed. I said yes because I was in love. I was committed to our future. I believed that future was coming. I was not wrong to believe that. What I could not have predicted was Laura. She got sober. She rebuilt herself from the ground up. She started showing up for our daughters consistently, quietly, without being asked. And when I saw who she was becoming, who she had always been underneath everything that had happened to her, I fell in love with her again. I know how that sounds. 6 weeks before my wedding to Andrea, I made the hardest decision of my life. I told Andrea I wanted to try again with Laura. I told her I was sorry. I meant it. Now, the account. She invested $100,000. That money was mine, every dollar of it. She managed the strategy. I do not dispute that she is talented. I do not dispute that the account grew, but the capital was mine. The $100,000 was mine. The account grew to $405,000 under her management. $305,000 in growth over 18 months. I am not pretending that did not happen, but here is what I need you to understand. That account was built as part of a future we were creating together, a future in which her son would be my stepson, a future in which we would be a family. That future did not happen. The wedding did not happen. The beneficiary designation was created for a family that was never formed. When my original family was restored, my daughters, Laura, the life we had before everything fell apart, I believed my obligation returned to where it had always belonged. To my children, I offered Andrea $5,000. I know how that number sounds, but anything more than that is an attempt to extort me. What I am not prepared to do is hand 30% of an account that exists to protect my daughters to a child I never became a parent to, under an agreement that was built around a marriage that never happened. I did not break a contract. I ended an engagement. Those are not the same.
Let's take stock of what we just heard. A man who admits his own failures, who acknowledges he was not present enough when his wife needed him most, who watched her rebuild herself and made a decision that cost him his engagement, and still believes he made the right call. He is not asking for sympathy. He is offering an explanation. There is a difference. Before you decide, you need to hear from the woman who was 6 weeks from becoming his wife. Andrea did not submit this case willingly. My investigators found her, reached her, sat with her until she decided her side of this story deserved to be told. She was right about that. The second voice speaks now.
I want to say something before I say anything else. I do not agree with his decision, but I understand why he went back to Laura. I do. 2 little girls who needed their parents together. A woman who fought her way back from addiction. A man who never stopped loving his family. I understand all of it. What I cannot understand, and what I need you to help me understand, is why any of that means I walk away with $5,000. Let me tell you what I brought to this relationship. I am 37 years old. I work in finance, stock analysis, market predictions. I have spent 15 years building expertise that most people would pay significant money for. When Brent proposed, I offered to manage a new investment account, a separate account, not his retirement fund, not his daughter's inheritance. A new account built from scratch, funded with his capital, $100,000. His money. I want to be clear about that. The $100,000 was his. I never claimed otherwise. What was mine was everything else. The strategy, the analysis, the decisions made every single morning over 18 months. The work that turned his $100,000 into $405,000. $305,000. That was my contribution. I declined his offer to pay me a salary. Not because I thought my work had no value. I knew exactly what my work was worth. I declined because I thought we were building something together, and I proposed a specific arrangement in its place. His daughters would have an equal share of that account. My son would have an equal share. A three-way split. Everyone benefits. He agreed. With no reservations. Every morning I woke up and made decisions about that account the way I make decisions for my professional clients. With precision. With research. With care. Not because I was being paid to. Because I believed in what we were building, and I wanted my son to be part of that future. And then, 6 weeks before our wedding, Brent sat me down. He told me about wanting to get back with Laura for the sake of his daughters. He told me he was sorry. I was hurt. I was broken. I had to call my family. I had to tell our guests. I had to dismantle a future I had been building with every decision I made over the previous 18 months. It took me time to get here, to respect a decision when I disagree with it. 3 months later, I received an automated email notification telling me that my son had been removed from the beneficiary designation of the account I built. No conversation, no warning, no phone call, no sit-down. An automated email, because I still had notifications turned on from his account. He did not have the decency to tell me himself. I found out because of a notification I was never meant to see. When I called, he wanted to play ignorance. He later offered me $5,000. I want you to sit with that for a moment. $5,000? For $305,000 in returns. For 18 months of professional-grade financial management. For an agreement he made freely, with no reservations, that he has now decided no longer applies because the marriage it was built around did not happen. He says the account was part of a future that never came. He is right about that. But the work that built that account was real. The agreement that underpinned it was real. The growth it produced was real. None of those things stopped being real because Laura got sober. He says contributions inside a relationship are not invoiceable. I agree with that completely. But this was not a relationship contribution. He offered me a salary. I declined a salary. I proposed a specific alternative. He accepted it. We had an agreement, not an understanding, not an assumption, an agreement. He does not get to call it a relationship contribution now that the relationship is over. I was his fiancé, yes, but I was also the most qualified financial advisor he had ever worked with. Those two things were true at the same time. He does not get to use the first one to erase the second. He says his obligation is to his children. I respect that. My obligation is to mine. That is exactly why I made the agreement I made. To ensure that my labor, my very real, very valuable, very uncompensated labor, created something for my child. He agreed to that. And then he changed the beneficiary designation without telling me and offered me $5,000 and called it fair. I am not asking for his retirement fund. I am not asking for money that belongs to his daughters. I am asking for 30% of the account I built, an account that would not exist in the shape it is in today without me. He chose his family. I respect that choice. I am choosing mine, my son.
Two sides, one truth. Somewhere, as always, in the wreckage between them. Here is what is not in dispute. He made an agreement. She performed under that agreement. The account grew by $305,000 in 18 months under her strategy. He ended the engagement. He removed her son from the beneficiary designation without informing her. He offered her $5,000. Both parties agree on all of that. So, we begin there. His argument has two pillars. The first, that the beneficiary designation was created for a family that was never formed, and that when his original family was restored, his obligation returned to his children. The docket takes that seriously. He is a father. He chose his daughters. This court respects that. The second pillar, that the account was not payment for services, but part of a future that never happened, and that contributions made inside a relationship do not survive the relationship's end. This is where his argument is most interesting and least convincing. He offered her a salary. She declined a salary. She proposed a specific alternative compensation. He accepted. That sequence of events is not a relationship dynamic. That is a negotiation conducted between two adults who both had full capacity to understand what they were agreeing to. He is a physician who runs his own practice. He understands what an agreement is. He understands what it means to make one and what it means to walk away from one. The docket also notes the manner of the removal. Not a conversation, not a phone call, an automated email notification sent 3 months after the engagement ended, discovered only because she still had account notifications active. He did not tell her. She found out. That detail is not incidental. It speaks to how the agreement was treated. At the moment, it became inconvenient. Not the leaving. People leave. That is their right. Not the choice to return to Laura. That is a father, rebuilding his family. This court respects both of those things. But the manner of the removal, silent, automated, discovered by accident 3 months later, suggests that what he called an agreement, he treated as a condition of the relationship rather than an obligation that outlasted it. $5,000 for $305,000 in returns, for 18 months of professional expertise, for an agreement made with his words, no reservations. $5,000. The docket finds that number to be not a compensation. It is a dismissal. The docket moves to absolve the second voice. But a motion is not a verdict. And in this court, the verdict has never belonged to me. It belongs to the jury. It has always belonged to the jury. And the jury is you. Deliberate. The comment section is your jury box. Argue your position. Challenge the other side. Place your vote in the poll below. This court has done its job. Now, do yours. Case number 1, 0, 0, 2. Adjourned.